And welcome once again to our weekly show called Real Shame. I want to change that up. Where we review movies from our list of shame or movie blind spots. Basically movies that we have not seen. I'm Adam.
I'm Andy.
And earlier in the week, we reviewed a movie that I haven't seen, which was While You're Sleeping. And Andy decided to pair that with another romantic comedy, which is...
About Time.
So it's about time we get into About Time.
When you're ready, it's all very mysterious.
Right. Tim, my dear son, the simple fact is the men in this family have always had the ability to... This is going to sound strange. Be prepared for strangeness. Get ready for spooky time. But there's this family secret. And the secret is that the men in the family can travel in time. Well, more accurately, travel back in time. We can't travel into the future.
This is such a weird joke.
It's seriously not a joke.
So you're saying that you and Grandad and his brothers could all travel back in time?
Absolutely.
And you still do?
Absolutely. Although it's not as dramatic as it sounds. It's only in my own life. I can only go to places where I actually was and can remember. I can't kill Hitler or shag Helen of Troy, unfortunately.
Okay, stop.
All right.
I like that joke. I'm sorry.
I like it too. Let's just keep reusing it. I reused the when we did the tank movies, I kept saying it was tanking. It was tanking.
Hey, we have to find the little joys in life.
Yeah. Got to pep this up. Tim discovers at the age of 21 that the men in his family can travel back in time. He uses this newfound talent to help him meet Mary, with whom he begins a life and a family. But not every day or life event goes exactly as planned. And Tim learns a thing or two about appreciating each day, whether he relives it or not, in About Time.
That's right.
All right, so I think we've established, I've never seen it, you've seen it, you really like this guy that directed it.
I do.
But still, technically, you go first in these weeks where we do Monday's episode where you haven't seen it. So gush about Time.
Yeah.
All you want.
I was going to give like a sentence or two, and then I was going to throw it over you, and then I was going to add to it, right?
Okay.
So, and the hard thing, and the thing is, since we had this movie on the list, I've been deciding if I want to relay a story or not about me watching this movie in theaters. So I might do that. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I'm still on the fence.
Do you need a tissue?
I might. I really adore this movie. I like this movie a whole lot. I feel Bill Nighy is awesome in this movie. He's just like the way he is as a father figure is just amazing, and I really like the dialogue in the movie. So I really like this movie a bunch. It's not a movie I will watch all the time, because it's definitely like takes an emotional toll, at least when I watch it.
You can't watch it all the time because you're too busy watching Love Actually.
That's right. Love Actually is more feel good. This one's more like bittersweet kind of movie. So before I gush on it a little bit more, let's put it over to someone who hasn't seen it. So About Time, what'd you know about it before you watched it, and what'd you think of it?
I knew it had Gleeson, Domnhall Gleeson. I blanked on his name for a second.
General Hux. Before he became General Hux.
Don't make me sick to my stomach. No.
He's one of the Weasley brothers.
I knew it had him. I knew it had Rachel McAdams. I'd seen the poster where they're laughing in the rain or whatever. I think I vaguely knew that it had some time travel stuff in it. But I really didn't know much. I mean, I knew you liked it, but I really didn't know much about it. It's a movie that I don't remember it coming out in 2013 or whatever. I heard about it, I think, when it came out on Blu-ray or something later, and then I was like, oh, it looks interesting, but I never watched it until you kind of talked about it and said you really liked it. Again, kind of shows it because it is another romantic film to go along with While You Were Sleeping. I liked it. I think this is a good movie. When it first started, I wrote down, I'm not going to say the expletive that I wrote down, but I do not like this like shaky cam kind of thing where it kind of goes like in this like little not a semicircle, a circle like that. And it does that right off the bat in the movie, like when they're just sitting there talking, like the camera's doing this. And I was like, if the movie does that the whole time, like I hate this movie.
Yeah.
I can't stand that. For the most part, I can't stand it. I feel like it's okay in certain movies, But I was like, for God's sake, don't do that the whole movie. And I don't think they do. Either they don't do that the whole movie, or I just got used to it. But I was like, please don't do that. Thankfully, I got over either them not doing it anymore or whatever. But I was scared at first because that really, it's just one of those things. I'm like, why are they doing that? Why can't they just have the camera just film somebody talking? Why do they have to make the camera move? We don't need this like artificial movement to, because the audience is bored or whatever.
Do you think that was on a Steadicam? Like, do you think someone's actually handheld holding a Steadicam, or do you think
maybe,
it was...
but just keep it still. Just keep it
still. I'll have to revisit that. That doesn't necessarily ring a bell, but
no, I mean, I liked it. I like the fact that as you said, I love Bill Nighy. He's freaking awesome. Luckily, he's in this movie more than he's in the movie Emma. Otherwise, I would have probably liked that movie better. But no, I think Bill Nighy is amazing. I agree with you. He's a great father figure. They do have great dialogue when he is father and son. He and Domnhall Gleeson are having conversations or whatever. It's just very laid back and, he's just a cool dude. I mean, he's just an awesome guy. But I like this movie does deal with time travel. But I like the fact that they don't try and do a bunch of mumbo jumbo. It's just very kind of matter of fact. They don't try
to explain it
I mean, because I don't need all that. I don't need all that. And I know after I watched the movie, I read some people complained about the rules, like they broke rules and they did this. And it's like, if you watch a time travel movie and you expect everything to make perfect sense, I feel like you're in for a bad time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, time travel. Spoiler alert, I don't believe we could ever truly travel through time in reality. So it is a fantastic concept. So if you watch a movie with time travel, you have to accept certain things about it. So if you're sitting there the whole time watching a time travel movie trying to pick apart, well, that wouldn't have happened, well, that would, just turn it off, because you're sapping all the fun out of it. Luckily, I don't do that. So whenever I was watching this movie, I mean, I didn't care, as long as they didn't do something that egregiously broke their own rules, which I don't feel like they ever did. I was a little like, when he takes his, obviously we're spoiling, we spoiled things on the show. So if you haven't seen it, stop right now and watch it. But when he takes his sister back, I was like, he could do that? Like that kind of threw me for a loop, because they don't really ever establish that. He just somehow knows he can do it. I thought that was a little bit weird. And then I know the movie's kind of emotional at the end with what happens with his father, but I honestly, I guess I have a heart of stone, because it didn't have an emotional pull for me, and I honestly felt like it was kind of artificial. But I think his interactions with Rachel McAdams are splendid. And I mean, their story is the bulk of the movie. He does have, some things that go on with his father kind of late in the movie. But that whole, the whole kind of central idea or theme or whatever you want to call it with just him and Rachel McAdams, I just love that.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that they didn't have any, I mean, they just always seemed to kind of love each other,
Yeah.
They didn't have any real, they didn't try and throw like a wrench into the works with this thing, which they could have done in a movie like this.
And I wanted to jump in on that real quick.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I noticed watching this movie this time was, like, I think you get two contrasting relationships and how time travel affects it in this movie.
Uh-huh.
So the first one is, like you said, with Rachel McAdams, which just seems like it's natural. And when he first meets her, they meet at that bar where everything's dark, or that restaurant where everything's dark.
Yeah.
But then when he time travels to help his roommate, the guy, the playwright, do his play, then he never meets her, right? But then they still develop a relationship because he's able to find her and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's one way of doing it. And then the other, and the relationship blooms from that. The other way is with Margot Robbie. And, he's tried a couple different, Margot Robbie's character, I don't think I put it on her name. Oh, Charlotte, yeah. And he's tried to make that work. And you had like the summer thing at the beach house where he comes in the last day and she's like, well, you would have told me sooner. And then he goes sooner. Then she's like, tell me the last day. And then when he meets her again. And so you can see this kind of like relationship where almost in my eyes, if it wasn't supposed to happen, you're going to always have these hurdles and these roadblocks, no matter how many times he tries to go back in time and make the cards fall into, or fall in a way that works out for him, right? Mm-hmm. So he's like forcing it with Charlotte, and that's why it never quite works out. But with with Rachel McAdams' character, since it's almost like destined to happen, I feel like that even if he messes up the first initial meet, he will meet her, and then something will bloom from that. So, just wanted to jump on that point because that's what that kind of made me think of when you're talking about their kind of relationship and how it works in the movie.
I think that's an excellent point to make. And actually, I'm glad you brought up that restaurant. I didn't realize those are actual real restaurants. And I think that's kind of cool though. Like so basically, if you haven't seen the movie, shame on you. They go to a restaurant where you're completely seated like in the dark and you can't see the person you're sitting next to or the food that you're eating, which might be a little scary. But still, I thought that was really cool because they meet and I think they can't see each other but they hit it off so well. And then of course there's the big reveal when she comes outside or whatever, and of course she's really, really pretty. Spoiler, but not spoiler. If you see Rachel McAdams, I don't know what to say. I guess spoiler for the movie, but again, it's not like she comes out and looks like Bucktooth or anything.
Quasimodo. Yeah. Surprise!
Right.
He goes back in time and makes sure. Never mind. That's probably not appropriate. So for me, because he has such a great relationship with his dad, and because Bill Nighy is so affable and so likable, he's so well read, he's so even keeled. Yeah. He just seems, and probably because in the movie he can travel back in time too, since it's all the male kind of bloodline can do that. He just comes off as like, not like a Leave It to Beaver kind of perfect dad, but like a realistic kind of like ideal dad, right? Just the way he kind of interacts with his son, how much love and compassion he has for it and all that kind of stuff. So in the movie you find out he has cancer, and the cancer, he gets taken away with cancer, and that's obviously sad. But since, oh God, what's the main character's name?
Tim.
Since Tim can travel back and see his dad, he can still visit him and still, relive some moments. And what you learn in the movie is that once you have a child, once your child is born, if you go in the past, that can actually change your child, right? And which we kind of experience in this movie. So
you change him to the milkman's son.
Changes to the milkman's son. You change it from Peter Gallagher to Bill Pullman. Bill Pullman in a wig. So when Rachel McAdams tells him that she really wants to have another kid, and that's probably part of her kind of coming to grips with this family that kind of accepted her, and maybe that's the way she kind of wants to celebrate, his dad's life. But then all of a sudden that kind of changes how he can interact with his dad. And that's just devastating to me. Like that just hits me. It hits me like a freight train, man. Yeah. That sits with me, and that's the movie's lasting effect for me for sure. So that's why I can't visit this movie a whole lot, because like it does actually take like a really emotional toll on me whenever that scene happens, because it just hits me,
Yeah.
And it did when I watched it in theaters. It really, 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 really affected
sobbing
me. Yeah, actually,
in the theater, and
it was afterwards. The story is I went to go see it in the theater. I was on a date with this girl, and after the movie, I spent 15 minutes in the car crying. She wanted to be taken home.
She was like,
yeah. I was completely devastated. I have a great relationship with my dad and all that kind of stuff, but it just that struck a chord with me, and it still does. So that this movie really, really just has this kind of bittersweet, but it has this part of me that's in this movie that I really, really enjoy. So I know not everyone's going to have that reaction to this movie, but that's the reaction I have, and that's why I adore this movie so much.
Well, I'll say one thing about this movie, and this is a compliment, trust me. I watched it and I liked it a lot. I thought it was good, and I thought, again, this is the kind of movie, because I feel like it is under the radar, and I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily know about it. I mean, sure, there's plenty of people that know about it, but I don't. I guarantee you I know a lot of people that have no idea what this movie is or have never heard of it. So I think it's cool because it's the kind of movie that you can recommend to people that have never heard it. You can introduce it to new people. But I will say, after I watched it, because I watched it, I don't know, like 6 or 7 days ago, something like that. I found myself thinking about it a lot over the next
Yeah.
few days after that. Like it definitely stuck with me, and there were certain scenes about it that stuck with me. And I feel like that's the ultimate compliment, that I could give to a movie is, I watch a movie. It's gonna sound bad, but I watch a movie like while you were sleeping, and I enjoy that movie, but then I just completely kind of forget about it. After, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of notes whenever we talked about it on Monday. Again, it's a perfectly good movie, but it's just kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
But a movie like this, it kind of sticks with you, and you think about for whatever reason, you think about certain scenes or themes or whatever, or something like you said, if it strikes an emotional chord in you or whatever. I think those movies that last, that stick with you, are the best kinds of movies. So yeah, but I mean, this movie definitely, I found myself thinking about it the next few days. I was like, oh yeah, that part, or whatever. I like that. Yeah, but no, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was good. And more people should see it.
I agree. I think Richard Curtis was firing on all cylinders with this movie. Apparently, making this movie was an uphill battle for him, so much so that he doesn't want to direct anymore. This is going to be his last directing credit, at least as of this podcast.
And that was 7 years ago. So
he's written some other movies and stuff like that. Yesterday, directed by Danny Boyle and stuff like that. I do think we had The Astronaut's Wife that came out very close to when this movie came out. And I think it might have actually came out before this movie, and I think that kind of
Time Traveler's Wife.
Time Traveler's,
right?
Time Traveler's
Wife. You
Wife.
said Astronaut's Wife.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Which I think kind of poisoned the water a little bit for this kind of movie.
Because it also has Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowhere, it doesn't even hold a candle to this movie for sure.
Well, I haven't seen that one either. So
I think that's probably the reason why. But I'm with you. I think more people should watch this. More people should like it. And if you like Love Actually, and if you like what we're talking about, then and you haven't seen it for some reason, while we're spoiling it for you, you should check it out for sure.
Well, and we talked about we need to add 4 Weddings and a Funeral to our show or list because neither one of us have seen it. I've never seen Notting Hill. I know he did Notting Hill. Have you seen Notting Hill with Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant? That's another one.
I went through a Hugh Grant kick to watch a bunch of movies he did. I don't know if I made it to that one or not.
Okay, and then
was he in 9.5 weeks? I think I started with that.
Julianne Moore.
I think I started and ended with that.
Started and ended with that. You're like, I can't take it.
Yeah.
And then he did the first 2 Bridget Jones movies. I forgot there was a third movie, but because I was going to write down he did all the Bridget Jones movies, but he didn't do the third, which is Bridget Jones' baby.
Has a baby, yeah.
Yeah, Bridget Jones. She's having a baby.
Or something like that, yeah.
Yeah. 3 men and a Bridget Jones's baby.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. All right.
So that's all I got to say.
So I found this interesting. This is just a little bit of trivia. We did While You Were Sleeping. We did About Time. Both of those movies are titles of South Korean television shows, but the South Korean television shows don't have the same plots.
Interesting.
They just took. There is a South Korean show called While You're Sleeping, which has nothing to do with While You're Sleeping the movie, and there's a South Korean show called About Time, which has nothing to do with About Time the movie.
Amazing.
I didn't choose these movies because of that. I saw that after the fact. Because I was looking at the Wikipedia entry on both pages, and I think when I typed in About Time, it was About Time movie or film, About Time South Korean show or TV show, and same with While You Were Sleeping. I was
That's crazy.
really? There's okay, that's interesting.
Is there a Bad Boys South Korean TV show? Bad Boys?
There is a Bad Boys TV show.
I know, but South Korean TV show?
Oh, South Korean. I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to think of the most ridiculous South Korean TV shows.
I don't know.
What that's I did not know that it's unusual. What did the reviewers say about this movie?
69% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Nice.
It could be higher though. 81% audience score. No Siskel and Ebert, and they both passed away by this point. Unfortunately, Leonard Maltin gave it 3 stars, and yeah, that's it.
Bump up Leonard. All right, so that was our review on About Time. On these Wednesday episodes, we like to do a viewer question, but we're not doing one this week because historically, you and I have always kind of compiled a favorite movie of the year list, and since this is our last show of the year, I figured it was an apt time to do it. So, I don't think we necessarily have any hard and fast rules about how we kind of compile our list. I'll talk about how I do mine, and then I'll throw it over to you and see yours. I try to choose between 4 and 5 movies to do my list. I find doing a top 10 after 5, I'm just grabbing movies to put as top 10. Even if I see, 1 or 2 movies a week for the whole year, it's just, I feel like there's never enough for me to fill a full top list. So I usually try to do around 4 or 5. Because it's my list and because it's 2020, I actually didn't include all movies on mine. I include some non-movies on my list. I know, put the handcuffs on me, send me the movie reviewer jail.
In this wacky, zany year, we'll allow it.
Watched everything on my TV, so I included things I saw on my TV. So I'm not. How do you want to do this list? Do you want to just kind of start from the bottom top? Do you want to just choose random movies? Do you want to go back and forth?
I have no real bottom top.
Yeah.
I just wrote down some movies that I saw in 2020 that I enjoyed.
So
and I actually did write down 10, but I didn't do that intentionally. I just happened to write down 10. It's coincidence. I swear it is coincidence.
So
mine are in no order.
How'd you pick your list? Is it, like you said, just movies you saw this year?
Yeah, I mean, so when I like to make a top 10 list, even if it's 10 movies. I will agree with you. I found it a lot easier to make a top 10 list years ago. Nowadays, I do feel like the latter slots on the list, I'm kind of reaching to find something because usually there's 2 or 3 movies that really hit me hard. Like last year, I thought Parasite was the best movie I saw in the year, and it was like head and shoulders above 2 through 10. So it was like even 2 through 10 were like, what am I going to put next or whatever. This year was not like that at all. There was nothing that I saw this year that just knocked my socks off like Parasite. Okay. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's just true.
No, I agree.
I mean, there may have been a movie that we watched for the show that did, but just movies that came out in 2020, there wasn't anything that just slapped the bejesus out of me. I mean,
and on our 100th episode, we might talk about those movies.
Yes.
So why don't you choose 2 from yours? I'll choose 1 from mine, and we'll just kind of go back and forth since you have more than I have.
Yeah, so these are in no order. I can't at this point, maybe later, but not at this point, can I even say what I thought the best movie of 2020 was. I just wrote down some movies that I saw in 2020 that I gave thumbs up or happened to enjoy. So these are in no order. Don't think I'm going 10, 9, whatever. Because the one I have at the bottom, I would not consider it the best movie of the year. It's just the one I saw the most recently. Bad Boys for Life, we went and saw that at the theater. That's still one we went and saw at the theater back in January before they closed the theaters.
15 years ago.
Yeah. But I enjoyed that. I think we both enjoyed that. It was kind of nice revisiting those characters. I mean, I'm not a giant fan of Bad Boys 1 and 2. I think they're okay. But I thought it was cool seeing these guys get older and, because I'm older. I saw Bad Boys 1 and 2 when I was younger, when I was comparable to their age, or I think I'm younger than both of them, but still, I could feel their pain of getting older, so I kind of like that.
I think Bad Boys for Life was better than Bad Boys 2, so that's
I think I agree with you there. Because I think Bad Boys 2 goes on like an hour too long. Yeah. It goes on forever. And then another movie that we both saw in theaters, which I thought was good, we did an episode on it, was Invisible Man. Yep. I thought that was a pretty decent little... I think in my mind it's better than I thought it was. I don't remember specifically what I said on the episode where we talked about it. I mean, I remember liking it okay. Yeah. But yeah, that's a pretty solid little thriller. I'd actually like to watch that again pretty soon.
Yeah, I remember being positive on the movie.
Yeah.
Didn't quite make my list. I mean, I could have, like I said, all these other movies, like the ones you're mentioning, just feel like they're all like the same and nothing really bubbled to the top for me.
Yeah.
So I'll start with my non-movies first. I chose a TV show because it's 2020, and I chose Ted Lasso. That TV show is awesome. It's a 30-minute sitcom. Has I can't even think of anyone's name in it. Has that guy in it.
It has that guy that plays Ted Lasso in it.
It has plays Ted Lasso in it. It's a good movie. It's a fun comedy. It's uplifting. It's really, really good. I highly recommend it if you have Apple Plus. It's like 10, 30-minute episodes, so you can knock it out in a...
I was about to say, I don't think I've heard of that, but I don't have Apple Plus. Sad face.
So, Ted Lasso for me.
Yeah. Onward, which we also did an episode. I think I was a little higher on it than you were. I think that was a cute, sweet little Pixar movie about 2 brothers that just want to spend a little bit more time with their dad. I liked that. And then I think this is the last movie that we actually saw in theaters, Birds of Prey. Yep. I liked Birds of Prey. I know you said you weren't as hot on it when you watched it at home. I still liked it when I saw it at home.
Yeah, I cooled on a little bit. Onward, I kind of had some issues with.
Yeah.
So last TV show, limited series for me. You guys probably know this is going to be on there because I've watched it twice, and that's The Queen's Gambit. I thought this was really well done, really good limited series. Have you had a chance to see that yet?
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll ask.
I did watch it.
Oh wait, did you tell me that already?
No.
Okay, well, spoiler alert. I liked it. Maybe he didn't. We'll find out.
I did like it. I honestly, I forgot to mention it on Monday's episode. I liked it. I liked it. I would not watch it again, but I did like it.
So yeah, I like Queen's Gambit a whole bunch. So much so that the writer-director who did it, he did God's Country, I think, or Godland, or something like that. Some movie with God in the title. It's a Western. Kind of want to check that out now because I like that movie so much. I say movie. I like that series so much.
Extraction, which is a Netflix movie with Thor.
Thor is good.
I enjoyed that. Yeah, I thought that was a cool action-filled, fun movie. And Bad Education with Hugh Jackman, which what was that on, HBO or something?
It was on HBO, but I thought that was a 2019 release. Maybe I'm wrong.
It was 2020. I got all this list off of 2020 in film, unless the internet was wrong. Yeah, but I like Bad. You like Bad Education?
Yeah,
right?
I like both those movies.
Yeah.
Good
stuff.
I like both those movies. Interesting.
Yeah.
Another movie that I mentioned I watched twice, and Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga, another Rachel McAdams movie. I adore this movie. It's fun. It's silly in all the right ways. I normally don't like Will Ferrell comedies, but
I know it still shocks me. But I think the songs and stuff probably balance out the Will Ferrell dislike for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Will Ferrell stuff, like, I always feel like he's like elbowing his way in to sing the songs. And I'm just like, no, Will Ferrell, sit back, Will Ferrell. I want to hear these other people sing.
I have not watched it.
I just have a lot of fun. I like the music in it. It made me so much that I want to actually watch the Eurovision contest in the future just because it seems like a lot of fun. So I like that movie a whole bunch.
Another Amazon movie for me, 7500 with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I thought that was a pretty tense movie. It loses some steam in the latter little part of the movie, but I still thought it was pretty good overall. I guess a good time watching it. It's pretty harrowing and some bad stuff happens, but I liked it. And then Palm Springs on Hulu with Andy Samberg. Fun time travel or time loop, I guess, movie. Not time travel, time loop movie. I enjoyed that. Spoiler, kick it over to you. I know,
spoiler.
It's going to lead right into.
I think my favorite movie of the year, my favorite thing of the year is Palm Springs. I really think it's a really well done time loop movie. I think Kristen, I can't say her last name correctly. And
I don't remember her name.
Andy Samberg, not Adam Samberg, I'm going to say it right. Andy Samberg are both likable and they both do really well in this kind of romp that they have and stuff like that.
And isn't Peter Gallagher in that with his eyebrows?
Probably.
He's the father, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the father.
And we have J.K. Simmons in it.
Oh, yeah. Love him.
I think it's great. It's like I said, it's probably my favorite thing. The dance scene at the bar is hilarious. I cue that up all the time to watch. It's like my favorite like little clip to watch of the movie. Is just.
Do you do that for Kirby?
She hates it. She doesn't get it.
Stop it.
Yeah. But I think it's called like Megatron Man is the song or something like that. Some
Megatron
80s song.
Man.
Some 80s song. It's awesome.
That was my nickname in high school.
It was it? That's awesome.
No,
okay. So that was me. I really like Palm Springs. Probably my favorite thing I watched this year.
Yeah. So again, I had no order to these, so these last two are not my favorite necessarily. They just happen to come late in the year for me. I mentioned I liked Dave Franco's directorial debut, The Rental. It is a horror movie, not kind of a horror movie, but it's kind of a mashup of stuff, maybe. I don't know. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was good for what it was. And then this last movie, again, not my favorite movie of the year. But I thought this movie was a lot of fun. And I'd heard good things about it. And this movie is fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. And I know it got good critical reviews. But it's Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't think you've seen it, right?
No, I don't.
I'm telling you, I thought it was good, and I thought Jim Carrey, because I could take Jim Carrey or leave Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's definitely some things that I can't stand him in. There's some other things that I like that he's in. I'm not a huge Jim Carrey fan, but I'm not like his, worst, or he's not the worst person, I guess, to me. But I thought he's perfect as Dr. Robotnik. He's really funny in the movie. I didn't find him really annoying. I thought he was actually pretty funny. But it's a cute little movie. I mean, yes, you can plop your kids down in front of it and they'll have a good. There's nothing offensive about it. But I think it's fun for adults too. I enjoyed it. I'm not sorry I watched it, and I would watch it again, although probably not anytime soon.
Maybe if I'm looking for something to watch and I can't, nothing sounds good, I'll put it on.
You watched Eurovision twice. You could have watched Eurovision.
Is there
Sonic.
singing in Sonic?
I think there might be. There's no Will Ferrell in Sonic. I can tell you that.
taking a mixed bag at that point.
Yeah.
I changed the rules on you. The last movie we mentioned is our favorite movie, so you're stuck with Sonic Big, your favorite movie of the year.
I don't care. Sure, Sonic's my favorite movie of the year. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed to say I like the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And I'm not in the minority, so I'm fine with that.
There you go.
Because I know a lot of people liked it.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Here's hope. You know what? I was going to say, here's hoping to 2021 being different, but let's face it, it's probably going to be half a year, 6 months till we can actually see movies in theaters again. So it's probably going to be a lot the same as it was this year. But that's just the way things go. All right, guys. So that was our favorite movies of 2020. Why don't you write down below, if you're watching us on YouTube, what your favorite movies of 2020 are? Maybe there's one that we haven't seen. You know, obviously the one caveat too I want to say is we haven't seen everything that came out this year.
But no.
I mean, you can see on what we've been watching, where we've been seeing things. So there's probably like, I hear Tesla's really good with Ethan Hawke. I hear, you know, there's some other movies that I just hear great things about. You know, Defy Bloods, I know you saw that, but I hear that's good.
I did not see that.
We haven't seen Tenet yet. We haven't seen Mank yet. So maybe there's some movies that are out that are better than this, but hey, we haven't seen it at this point.
I was gonna say, sorry, I know you're doing the outro, but I was gonna say, by this, in a normal year, by this point of the year, we would have seen a lot of Oscar bait, like the stuff that comes out in the fall. Not hardly any of that stuff is coming out. We would have seen probably triple the amount of movies that we've seen. You know, I mean, there's so much about this year that, I mean, this list it's like a shell of a list.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I mean, this is not a typical year at all. So yeah, it's bad, y'all. It's bad,
y'all. We haven't seen Wonder Woman. We haven't seen Mulan. What's the Soul? I think Wonder Woman and Soul are both coming out on the 25th.
Yeah.
So I know this is coming out after the 25th, but when we're filming this, it's before Christmas.
Right.
It's 7 sleeps until Christmas. All right. Let's wrap this up. So yes, if you're watching this YouTube, write down what your favorite movies of the year is. You don't have to do top 10 unless you want to. Super cool. Extra bonus points for you. But just write down 1 or 2 movies that you really like. Start a conversation. That's super cool. Like, share, tell your friends about this because that's really cool and we really appreciate that. And, shoot us an email if you want your question answered on air, like next week when we answer a viewer's question. That's realshame@gmail.com. And we're on social media @realshame. And what's the last thing I usually say?
Happy New Year. That's the last thing you say.
Oh, I do say Happy New Year. And also I say stay tuned next time as we cross another movie off our list. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy 2021, y'all.